So anime fans? The series name is What If Naruto Traveled into Steven Universe. So let's start the series. Naruto's chopsticks paused halfway to his mouth. Across the small table in the back corner of Ichiraku Ramen, Sakura wasn't looking at him. She was staring at the steam rising from her bowl like it contained the secrets of the universe. Doing what? He shoved the noodles in before she could answer. Shutting down. She finally looked up, and her eyes did that thing they'd started doing lately, like she was reading a medical chart instead of looking at her friend. You asked me how I was? I started to answer. And you just… She made a vague gesture with her hand. Went somewhere else. Naruto chewed. Swallowed. I'm listening. You're not. Sakura's voice wasn't angry. That would have been easier. It was tired in a way that made his chest feel tight. You asked the question because you're supposed to. Not because you actually want to know. That's not… It's fine. She lifted her bowl to drink the broth, and when she set it down, her expression had smoothed over into something professional. Pleasant. The mask she wore with patients' families. Forget I said anything. The bell above the curtain jingled. Tucci called out a welcome without looking up from the counter, but Ayam's head swiveled toward the door, and her smile brightened in a way that meant someone regular had walked in. Didn't expect to find you here, Shikamaru said, sliding onto the stool beside Naruto. He nodded at Sakura. Troublesome. Both of you avoiding the others? I'm not avoiding anyone, Naruto said immediately. Shikamaru just looked at him. That was the thing about Shikamaru, he didn't need to call you out. He just waited, and the silence did the work for him. I'm eating ramen, Naruto amended. That's not avoiding. Sakura's been here for an hour. Shikamaru signaled to Ayam for his usual. You've been here 20 minutes. She's on her second bowl. You're still on your first. He accepted the bowl. Ayam slid toward him and picked up his chopsticks. That's not eating ramen. That's hiding in ramen. I'm not. Naruto started, but Sakura stood up suddenly. I should go. Early shift at the hospital tomorrow. She dug in her pocket for coins, but Ayam waved her off. On the house tonight, Sakura-chan. You look like you need it. Sakura's smile was brittle. Thanks, Ayam. She paused beside Naruto's seat, and for a second he thought she might say something else. Instead she just touched his shoulder, brief, light, and then she was gone, the curtain swishing shut behind her. Naruto stared at his noodles. You know, Shikamaru said between bites. For someone who spent his whole childhood alone, you're really bad at not being alone now that you've got people who actually want to be around you. That's not… Naruto cut himself off. He was saying that a lot tonight. Shikamaru didn't push. He just ate his ramen, making those little appreciative sounds that Tucci lived for, and let the silence stretch. It wasn't an uncomfortable silence. Shikamaru's silences never were. They were more like pauses. Space to think. The problem was Naruto didn't want to think. I don't know what she wants from me, he finally said. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. Sakura? Everyone. Naruto pushed his bowl away. The broth had gone cold anyway. She says I'm not listening, but I am. I just… He stopped. The words wouldn't come. They were stuck somewhere behind his ribs, tangled up with everything else he never said. You just what? I don't know how to do it the way she wants. The admission came out rougher than he intended. I ask how she is. She tells me. And then I don't know what to do with what she tells me, so I just… He made a vague gesture. Exist? I guess. Shikamaru set his chopsticks down. For a long moment, he just looked at Naruto, that same assessing gaze he used on shogi boards, reading moves 3 steps ahead. You know what your problem is? Nope. But I'm sure you're going to tell me. Your problem is you think listening means fixing. Shikamaru leaned back on his stool. Sakura doesn't want you to fix anything. She just wants you to hear her. To sit with whatever she's feeling instead of immediately trying to solve it. That doesn't make sense. If someone tells you something's wrong, you try to make it right. That's what you do with missions. Shikamaru cut him off. Not with people. People aren't missions, Naruto. You can't complete them and move on. The words hit harder than they should have. Naruto opened his mouth to argue, but nothing came out because Shikamaru wasn't wrong. That was exactly what he did. Someone told him something, a problem, a feeling, a fear, and his brain immediately jumped to how do I fix this? How do I make it better? How do I get us back to normal? And when he couldn't fix it, he didn't know what to do. So he did nothing. He waited for the moment to pass, for the conversation to move on, for things to go back to the way they were before someone started feeling things at him. "You look like you're going to be sick," Shikamaru observed. "I'm fine." "You're not. But you won't talk about it, so?" Shikamaru shrugged and went back to his ramen. Naruto wanted to leave. He wanted to go find Sakura and explain that he wasn't trying to be difficult, he just didn't know how to do whatever it was she needed from him. He wanted to find Kakashi and demand to know why no one ever taught him this stuff, how to sit with someone else's feelings without panicking. He wanted to find Sasuke, wherever he was, and punch him in the face for making everything more complicated. Instead he sat there, cold ramen in front of him, and let Shikamaru's words settle into something he couldn't shake. The training ground was empty at this hour. Naruto had come here without thinking about it. His feet just carried him to the place that had always made sense. The wooden posts were scarred from years of practice. The grass was worn thin in the spots where he'd paced and paced and paced. He sat on the bench near the tree lean and stared at nothing. The thing was, he understood what Shikamaru meant. He did. But understanding it and actually doing something different were two completely separate things. When Sakura had started talking earlier, something about her parents, about the pressure at the hospital, about feeling like she had to prove herself all over again every single day, Naruto had felt something close to panic. Not because he didn't care. Because he cared too much, and caring meant he needed to help, and he didn't know how. So he'd done what he always did. He'd nodded along, made the right noises, and waited for her to finish so they could go back to talking about something easier. Missions. Food. The weather. Anything but feelings. "You're brooding." Naruto looked up. Sai stood a few feet away, sketchbook tucked under his arm, head tilted in that slightly too curious way he had. "I'm not brooding." "You're sitting alone in the dark at a training ground. That's the definition of brooding." Sai sat on the bench beside him, not close enough to be intrusive but not far enough to be polite. "I thought brooding was Sasuke's specialty. Have you been taking lessons?" "This isn't." Naruto stopped. Rubbed his face with both hands. "What are you doing here?" "Drawing." Sai opened his sketchbook to show a detailed rendering of the training ground, the posts, the trees, the bench they were sitting on. "Night lighting is more interesting. Fewer shadows to fight." Naruto looked at the drawing. It was good. It was always good. "You ever draw people?" "Sometimes. People are harder. They move." Sai closed the sketchbook. "Also they have feelings, which makes them unpredictable. Trees are more reliable." "You sound like Shikamaru." "Shikamaru is often correct, even when he's annoying." Sai tilted his head the other way. "You're upset about Sakura." "How do you?" Naruto stopped. Sighed. "Is it that obvious?" "To me? Yes. To most people? Probably not. I've been studying emotional indicators." Sai pulled a small notebook from his pocket and flipped through it. "Facial tension indicates stress. Shoulder position indicates withdrawal. Eye movement suggests internal processing rather than external awareness. Combined with the location and time, the most logical conclusion is interpersonal conflict." Naruto stared at him. "What?" Sai looked genuinely confused. "That's how emotions work, isn't it? Observable indicators that lead to logical conclusions." "That's not..." Naruto stopped. Started over. "Emotions aren't logic puzzles, Sai. You can't just observe and conclude." "Why not? That's how I learned to fake them. Shouldn't it work for real ones too?" The question was so sincere, so genuinely curious, that Naruto didn't know how to answer. Sai had spent his whole life being told emotions were weakness, that they got in the way of the mission, that the only thing that mattered was results. And now he was sitting here, notebook full of observations, trying to understand something everyone else seemed to be born knowing. "It's not about observing," Naruto said slowly. "It's about, I don't know, feeling with someone? Not just watching them feel." "That sounds uncomfortable." "It is. That's the point." Sai considered this. Why would anyone choose to be uncomfortable on purpose? Naruto opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. He didn't have an answer. The next morning, Naruto found himself outside the hospital. He hadn't planned to come here. He'd woken up early, gone for a run, eaten breakfast at Ichiraku. Tucci had given him a look but didn't say anything, and then his feet had just brought him here. Like they knew something his brain didn't. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and something floral he couldn't identify. He stood in the lobby for 5 minutes, watching people come and go, before Sakura appeared at the top of the stairs. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy knot, lab coat wrinkled. When she saw him, something flickered across her face, surprise maybe, or wariness, before she smoothed it away. Naruto. What are you doing here? I wanted to. He stopped. The words he practiced on the walk over had vanished. How are you? Sakura's eyebrows went up. You came to the hospital at 7 in the morning to ask how I am? No. I mean. Yes. I mean. He scrubbed a hand through his hair. Can we talk? Like actually talk? Not the way I do it where I don't actually listen. Something shifted in her expression. The professional mask cracked, just a little. I have rounds in 20 minutes. Okay. Then, 20 minutes. Or 10. Or 5. He was making a mess of this. He was always making a mess of this. I want to try. Doing it differently. What Shikamaru said. About listening instead of fixing. Sakura was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded toward the doors. Walk with me. They walked. The streets were just starting to wake up, shopkeepers opening their doors, early mission teams heading for the gates, children running to the academy. Normal morning sounds. Normal morning light. Nothing about it felt normal to Naruto. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. Though whatever this is. Sitting with feelings. I never learned. Neither did I, Sakura said. I learned bandages and medicines and which organs go where. Feelings are harder. They don't follow rules. But you're good at it. With your patients. With everyone. Sakura laughed, a short, surprised sound. You think I'm good at it? Naruto, I'm terrible at it. I just pretend really well. That's not. It is. She stopped walking, turned to face him. When a patient is scared, I know what to say because I've memorized the script. When a family is grieving, I know what to do because I've practiced it 100 times. But actually sitting with someone, really being there, not just performing being there. She shook her head. I don't know how to do that either. I just hide it better. Naruto stared at her. All this time, he thought Sakura had it figured out. That she knew something he didn't. And instead she'd been. What? She asked. Nothing. He stopped. Tried to find the right words. I thought I was the only one who felt like that. Like everyone else got a manual for this stuff and I was just winging it. We're all winging it. Sakura started walking again, slower this time. Some people are just better at making it look like they know what they're doing. They walked in silence for a while. It wasn't uncomfortable, not exactly. It was something else. Something quieter. I'm sorry, Naruto said finally. For last night. For all the times I've done that. Asked how you were and then just checked out. You don't have to apologize. Yes, I do. He stopped walking. You're my friend. You're important to me. And I've been treating you like a mission. Something to complete and move on from. That's not okay. Sakura looked at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she smiled, a real smile, not the professional one. You're an idiot, you know that? I know. But you're a good idiot. She started walking again, and after a second he followed. So, how are you? Actually? The question landed differently than it usually did. Usually when someone asked, Naruto gave the automatic answer, fine, good, busy, and moved on. But Sakura was looking at him like she actually wanted to know. Like she'd sit with whatever he said, no matter what it was. I don't know, he said. And then, because she was still looking at him, he kept going. I feel like everyone wants something from me, and I don't know what it is, and I'm just supposed to somehow know without anyone telling me. And when I don't know, everyone gets upset, and I don't know how to fix it, and… He stopped. Breathed. That probably doesn't make sense. It makes sense. Sakura's voice was soft. It sounds exhausting. It is. The admission felt strange. Wrong, almost. Like he wasn't supposed to say that out loud. I'm supposed to be the guy who never gives up, right? The one who always pushes through. I'm not supposed to be tired. Everyone gets tired, Naruto. Yeah, but… He stopped. Didn't know how to finish. But you're not supposed to be everyone, Sakura said. It wasn't a question. Yeah. They'd circled back to the hospital without Naruto noticing. Sakura stopped at the entrance, glancing at the sun, later than he'd realized. I have to go. Right. Yeah. Sorry for keeping you. You didn't. She hesitated, then did something unexpected. She hugged him. Quick, tight, over before he could react. Thank you. For trying. And then she was gone, through the doors and into the antiseptic smell, and Naruto was left standing on the street with something unfamiliar sitting in his chest. It took him a minute to recognize it. He'd been seen. Actually seen. Not the hero, not the Hokage's son, not the container of the Nine Tails. Just Naruto, tired and confused and trying. And instead of feeling exposed, instead of panicking the way he usually did, it felt okay. That night, Naruto sat on the Hokage monument, legs dangling over the edge, looking at the village spread out below. Lights were starting to come on in the windows. Families were eating dinner. Normal life, happening whether he was part of it or not. Footsteps behind him. He didn't turn. "You're getting predictable," Yamato said, settling onto the stone beside him. "Everyone keeps saying that." "Maybe because it's true." Yamato was quiet for a moment. "Sakura mentioned you came by the hospital." Naruto tensed. "She said something?" "She said you talked." "Actually talked." Yamato's voice was carefully neutral. "That's good." "Is it? I don't feel any different." "Feeling different isn't the point." Yamato leaned back on his hands, looking up at the stars starting to appear. "The point is you did it. You showed up and you stayed present. That's more than most people manage." Naruto thought about that. About all the times he'd shown up physically but checked out emotionally. About all the people who'd done the same to him over the years, present in body, absent in every other way. "How do you learn?" he asked. "How do you get good at being there? Really being there?" "I don't know that you do." Yamato's voice was quiet. "I think you just keep trying. Keep failing. Keep trying again. And eventually it gets a little less hard." "That's not a very good answer." "It's the only one I have." Yamato stood. "Don't stay out here too long. You've got training tomorrow." Naruto nodded, and Yamato left, and he was alone again with the village and the stars and the uncomfortable thing sitting in his chest. He thought about what Sakura had said. About everyone winging it. About pretending to know what they were doing. About being tired in ways they weren't supposed to admit. He thought about Sai's notebook, full of observations about emotions he couldn't feel. He thought about Shikamaru's words, "People aren't missions." And he thought about Sasuke, wherever he was, running from everything that might make him feel something. For the first time, Naruto wondered if maybe, just maybe, he'd been doing the same thing. Not running, exactly, but hiding. In missions and training and ramen and noise. Anywhere but sitting still with what he felt. The realization sat with him, uncomfortable and unwelcome, as the lights of the village blinked out one by one. He didn't move. The training ground was too loud at dawn. Naruto didn't know why he noticed that now. He trained at this hour hundreds of times. The birds, the wind through the trees, the distant sound of the village waking up. It had always been background noise before. Comfortable. Familiar. Today it pressed against his skull like something trying to get in. He'd been here for an hour already. Alone, technically, though he'd seen Lee's green jumpsuit flash through the trees twice, doing laps around the perimeter. Lee hadn't stopped to talk, had just waved and kept running, and Naruto was grateful for that. He didn't know what he'd say if someone asked why he was here so early. He didn't know why he was here so early. That was a lie. He knew. He just didn't want to think about it. "You're punching wrong." Naruto's fist stopped mid-strike. He turned. Hinata stood at the edge of the training ground, hands clasped in front of her, cheeks already pink despite the cool morning air. "I'm not punching wrong," he said. "I've been punching the same way my whole life." "Yes." Hinata moved closer, and he noticed she wasn't doing the thing she usually did, the stammering, the looking away, the hands twisting together. Her gaze was steady on his. "That's the problem." Naruto blinked. "What?" "Your form is." She stopped, seemed to reconsider whatever she'd been about to say. "Can I show you something?" He nodded, confused, and she stepped into the space beside him. For a moment they stood close enough that he could feel the warmth coming off her, could smell something soft and floral. Then she raised her arms into a stance. "Your punches come from here." She touched his shoulder. "Mine come from here." She touched her center, just below her ribs. "When you push from your shoulder, you're using strength. When you push from your center, you're using..." She hesitated. "Everything." Naruto stared at her. "Did you wake up this morning and decide to be weird?" Hinata laughed, a small sound, quickly covered. "I wake up this way every morning. You just never notice." The words landed strangely. Not accusatory. Just true. "Show me again," he said. She did. Slow, careful, walking him through the shift in weight, the breath, the moment of release. Her hands adjusted his stance, light touches, gone almost before he felt them. When he finally threw the punch the way she'd shown him, it landed against the training post with a sound that made both of them pause. That was, he started. Different, she finished. Yes. It felt like, he didn't know how to describe it. Like the punch had come from somewhere deeper. Like more of him had been in it. Hinata was watching him with an expression he couldn't read. Not the shy glances she used to hide behind. Something else. Something that made him want to look away and keep looking at the same time. You've been avoiding everyone, she said. The shift in topic was so sudden that Naruto actually took a step back. I haven't. You have. Still no stammer. Still no pink cheeks. Her voice was quiet but steady. Sakura told me about the other night. Shikamaru mentioned you left early yesterday. Lee said you didn't show for training? You're all talking about me? We're all worried about you. She said it like it was obvious. Like of course they were. Like the idea that he wouldn't know that was the strangest thing in the world. Naruto opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. I don't know what to do with that, he admitted. The worrying. The caring. I never learned how to let people do that. Hinata nodded like this made perfect sense. My father was like that. With caring. He didn't know how to let people in either. She paused. He's still learning. He's 63. That's not. Naruto stopped. That's not encouraging. It's honest. She finally looked away, toward the trees where the sun was starting to filter through. You don't have to learn everything at once. You just have to keep showing up. That's what Yamato said. Yamato is smart. He also said I'd keep failing at it. Hinata turned back to him, and there it was again, that steady gaze that made him feel seen in a way that was almost uncomfortable. Failing doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're doing it at all. The words sat between them. Naruto didn't know what to do with them. Can I ask you something? He said finally. Anything. Why are you? He gestured vaguely at her, at himself, at the space between them. Like this? Today? You're not. Shy. She smiled, and it was different from her usual smiles. Quieter. More honest. I'm always shy, Naruto. I just decided that wasn't going to stop me anymore. Stop you from what? She looked at him for a long moment. Then she stepped back, settling into her stance. From being here. With you. Like this. She raised her hands. Now show me that punch again. From your center this time. He did. And when he finished, she nodded once, satisfied maybe, or something softer, and walked away without another word. Naruto stood alone in the training ground, the morning sun finally breaking over the trees, and realized he had no idea what had just happened. Ichiraku Ramen was busier than usual at midday. Naruto had to wait for a seat, which never happened. Tucci always found room for him. But today there was a group of genin taking up the whole counter, laughing too loud and splashing broth everywhere, and Tucci had just shrugged apologetically when Naruto walked in. So he stood against the wall, hands in his pockets, watching people eat and talk and live their normal lives. You look lost. Naruto looked down. A little girl was sitting on the bench near the door, legs swinging, watching him with enormous dark eyes. She couldn't have been more than 6. I'm not lost, he said. I'm waiting. For what? Good question. For a seat. There's a seat. She pointed at the empty space beside her. Naruto looked at it. Looked at her. You're saving that for someone? No. She patted the bench. Sit. You look tired. He sat. The bench was too low for the counter, but from here he could see the whole shop, the genin being loud, Tucci moving smoothly between orders. I am laughing at something a customer said. I'm Mirai, the girl said. Naruto. I know. She said it like it was obvious. Like everyone knew. You're the Hokage's son. The words still hit strange. Even now, even after everything. Yeah. I guess. My dad says you're important. Mirai swung her legs again. He says you're going to be Hokage someday. Your dad's pretty smart. He's dead. The words landed flat. No drama, no weight, just a fact stated simply, the way children state things before they learn to soften them. Naruto looked at her. She was still swinging her legs, still watching the crowd, her face perfectly calm. I'm sorry. he said. For what? She glanced at him. You didn't kill him. No, I just. He stopped. Didn't know how to explain. That must be hard. Losing your dad. Mirai considered this. Sometimes. Mostly I just miss him. But my mom says missing someone means you loved them, and that's good. She looked at him again. Do you miss your parents? The question hit somewhere unexpected. Naruto opened his mouth to give the automatic answer, the one about not knowing them. Not really, so how could he miss what he never had? But something stopped him. I don't know, he said. I never met them. That's sad. Yeah. Maybe. Mirai swung her legs a few more times. Then she hopped off the bench, straightened her little dress, and looked at him with an expression far too serious for her age. My mom says you can miss things you never had. She says that's the worst kind of missing, because you don't even know what you're missing. And then she was gone, weaving through the crowd toward a woman waiting at the door, her mother, probably, who smiled and took her hand and led her out into the street. Naruto sat on the Tulo bench for a long time after that. You look like someone kicked you in the head. Kiba slid onto the stool beside Naruto, Akamaru curling at his feet. The genin had finally cleared out, and Naruto had taken their spot at the counter without really thinking about it. His ramen sat in front of him, barely touched. A kid just told me I miss my parents. Kiba paused mid-reach for his chopsticks. That's weirdly profound for a kid. 6 years old? Okay, that's definitely weirdly profound. Kiba grabbed his chopsticks and dug into his ramen. You okay? No. Yes. I don't know. Naruto poked at his noodles. I never thought about it that way. Missing something you never had. It doesn't even make sense. Sure it does. Kiba talked around a mouthful of noodles. You miss having a family, right? Like, the idea of a family. Even if you never had one that worked. Naruto thought about it. About all the years he'd spent alone in his apartment, watching families walk by on the street. About the way his chest hurt sometimes when he saw a father carrying a kid on his shoulders. About Iruka, the closest thing he'd had to a parent, and how even that relationship still felt fragile sometimes, like it could disappear if Naruto did something wrong. Yeah, he said quietly. I guess I do. Kiba nodded like this was normal. Like it was normal to talk about missing things, about wanting things, about the shape of something you'd never held. You ever want kids? Naruto asked, and immediately regretted it. Kiba choked on his noodles. What? Never mind. Forget I said. No, I just... Kiba coughed, wiped his mouth. That's not where I thought this conversation was going. Me either. Naruto stared at his ramen. I don't know why I asked that. But he did know. He knew exactly why. That little girl, Mirai, sitting on the bench like she belonged there, talking about her dead dad like he was still part of her life. And Naruto had thought, for just a second, about what it would be like to have that. To be that. To be someone's dad, someone who got missed when he was gone. It was such a strange thought that he didn't know what to do with it. I think about it sometimes, Kiba said quietly. Having a family. Not now, I'm too young and there's too much to do. But someday. He shrugged. Akamaru's basically my kid already anyway. The dog thumped his tail at the sound of his name. That's different, Naruto said. Is it? Kiba looked at him. You love something, you take care of it, you worry about it constantly. Sounds like being a parent to me. Naruto looked at Akamaru, curled at Kiba's feet, perfectly content, utterly trusting. And he thought about all the ways Kiba had changed since he'd gotten that dog. More patient. More careful. More aware of something outside himself. I don't know how to do that, Naruto said. Take care of something that needs me. Not just missions. Not just fighting. Something that just needs me to be there. Kiba was quiet for a moment. Then, you take care of us. What? Us. Your friends. You show up for us all the time. Kiba shrugged again, uncomfortable now. That's the same thing, isn't it? Just different package. Naruto opened his mouth to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Because Kiba wasn't wrong. He did show up. He did care. He just didn't know how to let them care back. The realization landed softly, like something that had been waiting for him to notice it. That night, Naruto found himself on the Hokage monument again. Different spot this time, not the head, where everyone sat, but further down, near the base, where the stone curved away from the village and faced the forest. Quieter here. Darker. The village lights were just specks at the edge of his vision. He heard footsteps and tensed, ready to tell whoever it was to go away. I brought food. Gaara sat beside him like he'd always been there. No sound, no warning, just suddenly present, holding out a wrapped bundle. Naruto took it. When did you get here? This morning. Gaara looked out at the forest, not at him. Kazekage business. Meetings tomorrow. You came to find me. I came to sit with you. Gaara's voice was quiet, even. There's a difference. Naruto unwrapped the bundle, rice balls, simple but carefully made. He ate one without tasting it. How did you know I'd be here? I didn't. I looked everywhere else first. A pause. You're not hard to find when someone knows where to look. Naruto almost laughed. Almost. Everyone keeps finding me tonight. Like I'm wearing a beacon. You are. Gaara finally looked at him. It's called pain. It has a very distinct signal. The words were so direct, so utterly without judgment, that Naruto didn't know how to react. With Gaara, there was never any performance. Never any pretense. He said what he meant what he said, and let the truth land where it would. Sakura told me you talked. Gaara continued. Hinata said she saw you this morning? Kiba mentioned Ichiraku. Another pause. You're letting people in. I'm not. Naruto stopped. Thought about it. Maybe. A little. That's good. Is it? It feels. He searched for the word. Exposed. Like walking around without skin. Gaara nodded slowly. I know that feeling. Of course he did. Gaara, who'd spent his whole childhood isolated by something he couldn't control. Gaara, who'd killed without feeling, who'd been literally unable to sleep for fear of losing control. Gaara, who now stood in front of villages as their leader, who'd learned to let people in through sheer force of will. How do you do it? Naruto asked. Let people in, I mean. After everything. I don't know that I do it well. Gaara's gaze was still on the forest. I know that I have to. That the alternative is. He stopped. The alternative is being alone. And I know what that costs. Naruto thought about his childhood. About the apartments, always too quiet. About the meals eaten alone, the celebrations he wasn't invited to, the way people's eyes slid past him like he wasn't there. About the loneliness that had been so constant he'd stopped noticing it, stopped naming it, just let it become part of the background of his life. And then he thought about now. About the people who kept finding him. About Sakura's hug, Hinata's steady gaze, Kiba's easy presence, Gaara sitting beside him in the dark. Being alone costs something too, he said quietly. Yes. Gaara's voice was soft. It costs everything. They sat in silence after that. The forest rustled. The village hummed far below. And Naruto let himself be seen, really seen, by someone who understood what that cost. The thing about nightmares was that they didn't care how old you got. Naruto woke at 3 a.m. with Sasuke's name still on his lips and his sheets twisted around his legs like something trying to hold him down. The apartment was dark. Too quiet. His heartbeat was loud enough that he could count each pulse, each second of being alive while somewhere out there. He stopped the thought before it could finish. 3 a.m. was the worst time for thinking. He'd learned that years ago, alone in this same apartment, staring at the same ceiling, waiting for morning to come so the noise of the village would drown out the noise in his head. 3 a.m. was when everything felt true, and none of it felt fixable. He got up. Didn't bother with shoes. The floor was cold against his feet as he moved to the window, and looked out at the sleeping village. Somewhere out there, Sasuke was probably awake too. Not because of nightmares, Sasuke didn't have nightmares, or if he did, he'd never admit it. Because he was running. Because staying still meant feeling things, and feeling things meant slowing down, and slowing down meant. Naruto pressed his forehead against the glass. It was cold. He deserved the cold. You're thinking about him again. He didn't turn around. The voice was too familiar, too expected, too much like the one in his head. Naruto. Softer now. Closer. Come back to bed. I'm fine. You're not. Hands on his shoulders, gentle but firm, turning him around. Sakura stood in his apartment like she belonged there, which she did, he realized. She had a key. She'd had a key for 2 years. He'd forgotten. What are you doing here? He asked. I was on call at the hospital. You called me. I didn't. He stopped. Looked at his phone on the bedside table. The call log showed a 3-minute conversation at 2:47 a.m. He had exactly zero memory of it. Oh, he said. Sakura's expression did something complicated. Worry and understanding and something tired that he couldn't name. You were talking about Sasuke. The same things you always talk about. She paused. And then you said something I've never heard you say before. Naruto's stomach dropped. What? You said you were tired of being the only one who still cares. The words hung in the air between them. Naruto wanted to take them back, to explain that he hadn't meant it, that of course other people cared, that he was just tired and not thinking straight. But he couldn't. Because it was true. It was true in a way that made his chest ache, and now she knew, and he couldn't unsay it. Sakura, I didn't. Don't. Her voice was quiet but firm. Don't take it back. Not this time. She guided him to the bed, his bed, the one he'd slept in alone for 19 years, and sat him down. Then she sat beside him, close enough that he could feel the warmth of her, and waited. I don't know what to do with this, he finally said. Any of it. The feelings, the wanting, the weight of everything. I don't know how to carry it. Who said you have to carry it alone? Everyone. The word came out broken. Everyone always has. That's how it works. You carry your own weight, and if you can't, you're weak, and if you're weak, you're useless, and if you're useless. Naruto. Her hand found his. Squeezed. Who told you that? He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. No one had told him. That was the thing. No one had needed to. He learned it the way children learn language, by absorbing it from the world around him. The stares, the whispers, the way people stepped back when he walked by. You're alone, they'd said without saying. You carry this alone. That's what you are. Sakura. He started, but she shook her head. You don't have to figure this out tonight. You just have to. She stopped, seemed to search for words. You just have to let someone sit with you. That's all. Nothing else. So they sat. The apartment stayed dark. The village stayed quiet. And Naruto let himself be held, not physically, not exactly, but held nonetheless, by someone who'd shown up because he'd called, even if he didn't remember doing it. When morning came, pale through the window, Sakura was asleep against his shoulder. And Naruto realized, for the first time in hours, that he wasn't thinking about Sasuke anymore. Morning light was harsher than it had any right to be. Naruto made tea, badly, because he never learned how to make it properly, and stood in his kitchenette watching Sakura sleep. She looked younger like this. Softer. The professional mask completely gone, replaced by something vulnerable that made his chest hurt for reasons he couldn't name. The knock on his door came at 7:23 a.m. Precise. Controlled. The kind of knock that belonged to someone who planned their day in 5-minute increments. He opened the door. Yamato stood there, holding 2 bags of groceries. You're not at training, Yamato said. It's... Naruto glanced at the clock. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. Yamato's gaze moved past him, to the bedroom doorway where Sakura was starting to stir. His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. I'll come back. No, it's... Naruto stepped aside. Come in. She was just, I had a bad night. She stayed. Yamato entered slowly, setting the groceries on the tiny counter. He didn't ask questions, didn't push, just started pulling things out: eggs, rice, vegetables, miso. The practical movements of someone who'd learned to cook in the field, with limited supplies and no time to waste. Eat something, he said. Then we'll talk. Sakura appeared in the bedroom doorway, hair disheveled, still in yesterday's clothes. She looked at Yamato, at Naruto, at the groceries. I should go. You should eat first, Yamato said without turning. There's enough. The 3 of them ate in a silence that wasn't uncomfortable, exactly, but wasn't comfortable either. It was the silence of people who'd learned to be together without needing to fill space. The silence of teammates, of people who'd seen each other at their worst and hadn't run. Naruto's eggs were better than his tea. Yamato knew how to cook. I called you, Naruto said eventually. Last night. I don't remember doing it. Yamato nodded. You do that sometimes. When it's bad. I do? You called me 3 times the week after Sasuke left the first time. You called Kakashi twice after the hospital incident. You called Sakura. He glanced at her. How many times? Lost count. Sakura's voice was gentle. You never remember. Naruto set down his chopsticks. The food in his stomach felt suddenly heavy. Why don't I remember? Because you're not really awake, Yamato said. You're in that space between sleep and waking, where the things you hold during the day come loose. Your body knows you need help. Your conscious mind won't let you ask for it. So you do it without knowing. That's... Naruto stopped. That's messed up. Yes. Yamato met his eyes. It is. It's also very human. Sakura reached across the table and took his hand again, the same gesture from last night, like she was trying to teach him something through touch alone. You don't have to be okay all the time, Naruto. You don't have to hold everything together. But I'm supposed to. You're supposed to be a person. Yamato's voice was firm. Not a symbol. Not a weapon. A person. And people fall apart sometimes. People need help. People. He stopped, seemed to reconsider whatever he'd been about to say. People let others carry things for them. That's not weakness. That's survival. Naruto looked at his half-eaten eggs. At Sakura's hand over his. At Yamato's steady presence across the table. I don't know how, he whispered. I don't know how to let go. Then don't let go, Yamato said. Just loosen your grip. A little. See what happens. The afternoon found Naruto walking through the village without destination. His feet carried him past the academy, where children were running drills in the yard. Past the mission desk, where genin were gathering in excited clusters. Past the hospital, where Sakura had gone to finally change clothes and start her actual shift. Past the training grounds, empty now in the midday heat. He ended up at the memorial stone. He hadn't meant to come here. Hadn't thought about it, hadn't planned it. But here he was, standing in front of the carved names, reading the ones he knew and the ones he didn't. His parents were here somewhere, not together, not really, but close enough that their names shared the same stone. Minato Namikaze. Kushina Uzumaki. Strangers who'd given him everything and nothing. Younger than I expected. Naruto turned. An old woman stood a few feet away, leaning on a cane, her eyes fixed on the stone. She wasn't looking at him, was barely aware of him, probably, just staring at the names like they owed her something. Ma'am? She blinked, seemed to notice him for the first time. Oh. Sorry, young man. I was. She gestured vaguely at the stone. Remembering. Naruto looked at where she'd been looking. A name. He didn't recognize it. Who were they? My son. Her voice was steady, practiced. The voice of someone who'd said these words many times. Died in the war. 23 years ago. She paused. He was 19. Same as you, I'd guess. Naruto nodded. Didn't know what to say. You know what I miss most? She continued without waiting for an answer. Not the big things. Not the holidays or the celebrations. I miss the way he'd leave his shoes in the middle of the floor, right where I'd trip over them. I miss how he'd argue with me about everything, just to argue. I miss. She stopped. Swallowed. I miss the annoying parts. The parts that made him real. Naruto thought about Sasuke. About all the things he missed, the competitive streak, the way he'd roll his eyes at Naruto's stupid jokes, the reluctant respect that had started to grow between them before everything fell apart. He missed the annoying parts too. He missed all of it. Do you visit often? He asked. Every week. Rain or shine. She smiled, small and sad. My husband thinks I'm crazy. Says I'm torturing myself. But it doesn't feel like torture. It feels like... She searched for the word. Like visiting. Like keeping him in the world a little longer. Naruto looked at the stone again. At all the names. All the people who'd been kept in the world by someone's memory. My parents are here, he said quietly. I never met them. The old woman looked at him properly for the first time. Her eyes were sharp despite her age, taking him in, the whisker marks, the blue eyes, the way he held himself. You're the boy, she said. The Hokage's son. Yeah. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She laughed. Not cruelly, not mockingly. Just laughed. What? Naruto asked. I'm sorry. She waved a hand. It's just, I've wondered about you for years. We all have. The orphan boy who became something. She shook her head. And here you are, visiting a stone, missing people you never knew. Just like the rest of us. I don't. Naruto stopped. What do you mean? I mean, grief doesn't care if you knew someone. Her voice was gentle now. It shows up anyway. For what you had, for what you didn't have, for what you should have had. Grief doesn't follow rules. She reached out and touched his arm, brief, light, and then she was walking away, cane tapping against the stone path, leaving him alone with the names and the afternoon sun and the weight of something he couldn't name. That evening, Naruto sat on the roof of the Hokage mansion. Not the monument, the actual mansion, where the Hokage worked and lived and made decisions that affected everyone. He climbed up without thinking about it, found a flat spot near the edge, and settled in to watch the sunset. I was wondering when you'd show up. He looked over. Tsunade stood on the balcony below him, arms crossed, looking up with an expression that was half annoyance and half something softer. Sorry, Granny. I'll move. Don't bother. She disappeared back inside, and a moment later the roof access door opened and she stepped out beside him. Scoot over. He did. She sat beside him, close enough to talk, far enough to maintain dignity, and looked out at the village with an expression he couldn't read. Sakura told me about last night, she said. Naruto tensed. She shouldn't have. She should have. She's my student. She tells me things. Tsunade's voice was flat. Don't make this into something it isn't. I'm not here to lecture you. Then why are you here? She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was different, quieter, less certain. Because I know what it's like. Carrying something that's too heavy. Pretending it isn't. She paused. I did it for years. After Dan. After Nawaki. I drank and gambled and pushed everyone away, and I told myself I was fine. Naruto stared at her. Tsunade, the Godane, the legendary sucker, the strongest woman in the world, was talking to him about grief like it was something they shared. You're not fine, she continued. You're not okay. And that's… She stopped, seemed to struggle with the words. That's allowed. You're allowed to not be okay. I'm supposed to be strong. Strength isn't not feeling things. Her voice sharpened, just a little. Strength is feeling them and not falling apart. Or falling apart and putting yourself back together. Or… She made a frustrated gesture. I don't know. Strength is whatever gets you through the night without destroying yourself or everyone around you. Naruto thought about last night. About calling Sakura without knowing it. About letting her stay, letting her hold his hand, letting her see him at his worst. Is that strength? He asked. Letting people in? Tsunade looked at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. It's the hardest kind. The kind no one teaches you. She stood, brushed off her robes. Don't tell anyone I said that. I have a reputation. And then she was gone, back through the roof access door, leaving Naruto alone with the sunset and the village and the impossible weight of being human. The thing about training with Lee was that there was no such thing as a light session. Naruto's arms ached. His legs ached. Parts of him he didn't have names for ached. They'd been at it for 4 hours, and Lee was still going, running laps around the training ground, shouting about youth and effort and the flames of hard work, while Naruto lay flat on his back in the grass, staring at the clouds. You're slacking, Lee called, jogging past. I'm dying, Naruto called back. There's a difference. Lee laughed, that full-body laugh that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than most people's, and kept running. Naruto closed his eyes. The grass was cool against his skin. The sun was warm. For a moment, just a moment, nothing hurt except his muscles. You look peaceful. He opened one eye. Tenten stood over him, a towel around her neck, her expression caught between amusement and something softer. I look dead, he corrected. Same thing with you. She sat down beside him, not close enough to touch but close enough to talk. Lee's been pushing everyone harder lately. You okay? Naruto considered the question. Actually considered it, instead of giving the automatic answer. I don't know, he said. Maybe. Some days are better than others. Tenten nodded like this made sense. That's how it works. Some days you wake up and the weight is just there. Other days it's lighter. You learn to take the light days when you can get them. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just never asked? She smiled to take the edge off the words. We've known each other for years, Naruto. You know what I'm good at, weapons, fighting, strategy. You never ask what I'm bad at. What are you bad at? Letting people help me. She said it simply, like it was nothing. I'm the one who fixes things. I'm the one who has extra supplies, extra plans, extra everything. When I'm the one who needs something, I don't know how to ask. Naruto sat up slowly. Looked at her, really looked. Tenten, who always seemed so together. So capable. So completely fine. You're good at hiding it, he said. So are you. She met his eyes. That's how I noticed. They sat in silence for a moment. Lee ran past again, shouting something about the 57th lap. Either of them moved. What do you do? Naruto asked. When it gets bad and you can't ask? I wait. Tenten shrugged. Usually it passes. Or someone notices and helps anyway. Or I get busy enough that I forget for a while. She paused. It's not a great system. No, Naruto agreed. It's not. But it's what I have. She looked at him again. What about you? What do you do? Naruto opened his mouth to give the automatic answer: train, eat ramen, keep moving, but stopped. Because those weren't answers. Those were distractions. Things he did to avoid the actual question. I don't know, he said finally. I don't think I've ever actually dealt with it. The feelings. I just. He made a vague gesture. Push through. Keep going. Wait for it to stop hurting. Does it? No. The word came out smaller than he intended. It never does. It just changes shape. Becomes something else. Tenten was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out and did something unexpected. She took his hand. Just held it, no explanation, no pressure. Her palm was callous from years of weapon training, warm against his skin. My mom died when I was 7, she said quietly. I didn't cry at the funeral. Everyone said I was so brave, so strong, handling it so well. But I wasn't handling it. I just didn't know how to let it out. She squeezed his hand once, then let go. Took me years to learn that brave and frozen aren't the same thing. Naruto looked at his hand. At the place where she'd held it. At the warmth that was already fading. How did you learn? He asked. I had people who wouldn't let me stay frozen. She smiled, small and sad. Lee mostly. He'd just show up. Every day. Keep showing up until I couldn't pretend anymore. Lee ran past again, and this time he slowed, looking at them with concern. Is everything all right? Yeah, Tenten said. We're good. Lee nodded, seemingly satisfied, and kept running. Tenten watched him go with an expression Naruto couldn't quite read. He's like that, she said. Shows up, keeps showing up, doesn't ask for anything in return. It's annoying sometimes. How steady he is. Sounds familiar, Naruto said, and meant it. The afternoon heat had shifted into something milder by the time Naruto left the training ground. His muscles still ached, but it was a good ache, the kind that meant he'd worked hard, pushed himself, done something productive. He was almost to Ichiraku when he heard his name. Naruto. He turned. Sai stood in the shadow of a building, sketchbook tucked under his arm, expression unreadable as always. Hey! What's up? Sai glanced around, checking for eavesdroppers probably, though the street was mostly empty, and then gestured for Naruto to follow. They walked in silence for a few minutes, ending up at a small park Naruto hadn't known existed. It was hidden between two buildings, just a bench and a few trees and a patch of grass that someone actually maintained. I've been observing you, Sai said once they were seated. That's weird, Sai. Probably. But I've been trying to understand something, and you're the most useful subject. He pulled out his notebook, flipped to a page covered in sketches and notes. Your emotional patterns are inconsistent with your stated experiences. You claim to have been lonely as a child, yet you seek out connection constantly. You claim to value friendship, yet you avoid emotional intimacy. The data doesn't match. Naruto stared at him. You've been taking notes on my feelings? Observations. There's a difference. Sai held up the notebook. For example, when Sakura touches you, your tension decreases by approximately 40%. When Lee pushes you in training, your tension increases initially but drops below baseline within an hour. When someone mentions Sasuke, your heart rate elevates, and your breathing becomes shallow. He looked up. These are patterns. They mean something. I just don't know what. Naruto didn't know whether to be impressed or horrified. Sai, that's really invasive. Is it? Sai genuinely looked confused. I'm not judging you. I'm trying to understand. Emotions don't come naturally to me, so I have to study them. You're an excellent subject because you feel so much, so openly, but you also hide so much without realizing it. I don't hide. Naruto stopped. Thought about the past few days. About all the times he'd deflected, distracted, disappeared into training or ramen or sleep. Okay. Maybe I do. A little. A significant amount. Sai flipped to another page. You've had 7 opportunities for genuine emotional disclosure in the past 48 hours. You've taken 0 of them. You're counting? Everything is data. Sai closed the notebook. The question is why? Why do you avoid something you clearly need? It's illogical. Naruto leaned back on the bench. Looked at the trees, the grass, the small patch of sky visible between the buildings. tried to find words for something he'd never tried to explain. Because if I say it out loud, he started slowly. If I actually tell someone what I'm feeling, then it's real. And if it's real, I can't take it back. And if I can't take it back, then. He stopped. Swallowed. Then they know. And if they know, they might. Might what? Leave. The word came out smaller than he intended. Or use it against me. Or, I don't know. Something. The point is, once it's out there, I can't control what happens to it. Sai considered this. That's interesting. Because you've spent your whole life trying to be heard, shouting, making noise, demanding attention. But when it comes to the things that actually matter, you don't want anyone to listen. The observation hit harder than it should have. Naruto opened his mouth to argue, but nothing came out. You're afraid. Sai continued, his voice neutral, clinical. Not of being alone, you've already survived that. You're afraid of being seen and then rejected. Of someone knowing the real you and deciding you're not worth staying for. How do you? Naruto's voice cracked. How do you know that? I don't. I'm extrapolating from data. Sai paused. Also, it's how I feel. About everyone. All the time. Naruto looked at him. Really looked. At the blank expression, the careful posture, the notebook full of observations about emotions he couldn't feel. And he realized, suddenly, that Sai wasn't just studying emotions out of academic curiosity. He was studying them because he desperately wanted to understand something everyone else seemed to be born knowing. Sai, he said slowly, do you ever feel like you're missing something? Like everyone else got a manual and you didn't? Sai's expression flickered, just barely, just for a second. Always. Yeah. Naruto leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Me too. They sat in silence after that. Two people who'd been shaped by loneliness in completely different ways, sitting in a hidden park, not quite looking at each other. And for the first time, Naruto wondered if maybe Sai understood him better than anyone. That night, Naruto dreamed about Sasuke. Not the fighting, not the chasing, not the desperate attempts to bring him back. Just Sasuke. Sitting on the Hokage monument, looking out at the village, the way they used to do sometimes before everything fell apart. In the dream, Naruto sat beside him. They didn't talk. They just existed in the same space, watching the lights come on, feeling the evening breeze. You still think about me? Dream Sasuke said. It wasn't a question. All the time. Naruto's voice sounded strange in the dream. Hollow. I can't stop. Why? Because you're my. He stopped. The word stuck in his throat. Friend. Brother. Person I was supposed to save. None of them fit right. Dream Sasuke turned to look at him, and his eyes were dark, empty, the way they'd been at the Valley of the End. You're trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Do you know how pathetic that is? Yeah. Naruto's voice was quiet. I know. Then why do you keep doing it? Naruto thought about it. Actually thought about it, the way you could in dreams, where time moved differently and answers came easier. Because if I stop, he said slowly, then I have to admit that you're really gone. And I'm not ready to do that yet. Dream Sasuke stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, his expression shifted. Not much, just a softening around the eyes, a loosening in his jaw. The way he used to look, sometimes, when they were still teammates. When they were still something. You're an idiot, he said. I know. The dream shifted after that, became something else, something Naruto couldn't hold on to, but those words stayed with him when he woke. You're an idiot. Said the way Sasuke used to say it. Like it meant something else. Like it meant I see you. Like it meant don't give up on me yet. Naruto lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and let himself feel it. The missing. The wanting. The desperate, stupid hope that wouldn't die no matter how many times it should have. For once, he didn't try to push it away. Morning came too fast. Naruto was at Ichiraka before the sun fully cleared the horizon, huddled over a bowl of miso ramen that Tsuchi had made without being asked. I am kept glancing at him from behind the counter, clearly wanting to say something, clearly not sure how. Finally, she came over and sat on the stool beside him. You look like something a cat dragged in, she said. Thanks. You really know how to make a guy feel special. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Naruto, I've known you since you were this high. She held her hand at waist level. I've watched you grow up, watched you fight, watched you become someone incredible. And I've also watched you do this. She gestured at him. This thing where you show up but you're not really here. Naruto looked at his ramen. The noodles were getting soggy. I'm not done. Her voice was gentle but firm. My dad and we've always given you space. Let you come and go, eat when you need to eat, be alone when you need to be alone. But lately. She paused. Lately you've been more alone than usual. And I'm starting to think that's not what you actually need. Naruto didn't know what to say. Ayam had always been there, a constant in the background of his life, serving ramen, making small talk, never pushing. He never really thought about what she saw. What she noticed. What do I need? He asked quietly. I don't know. That's not for me to decide. She reached out and touched his arm, quick and light. But whatever it is, you're allowed to have it. You're allowed to need things, Naruto. You're allowed to ask. She stood, went back to the counter, left him alone with his soggy noodles and the weight of her words. You're allowed to need things. He'd never thought of it that way. Need had always been weakness, something to hide, something to overcome. The village had taught him that, loud and clear, from the moment he was old enough to understand. Don't need. Don't want. Don't ask for anything, because no one's going to give it to you anyway. But Ayam was saying something different. Was saying that needing wasn't the problem. That the problem was pretending he didn't. Naruto ate his ramen, slowly, deliberately, and thought about what it would mean to stop pretending. Later, he found himself at the memorial stone again. Different time of day, late afternoon, the sun starting to slant toward evening, but the same place. The same names. The same weight. He wasn't alone this time. Kakashi stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, looking at the stone with an expression Naruto couldn't read. He didn't turn when Naruto approached, didn't acknowledge him at all for a long moment. You come here often? Naruto asked finally. Often enough. Kakashi's voice was quiet. Obito. Rin. Sensei. They're all here. Naruto looked at the stone. Found the names. Minato Namikaze. Kushina Uzumaki. And beside them, others he didn't know but recognized by their placement, team names, probably, clustered together the way teams always were. I've been thinking about them lately. Naruto admitted. My parents. More than usual. Kakashi finally looked at him. Anything specific? Just. Naruto shrugged. Missing them. Even though I never knew them. Missing the idea of them, I guess. Kakashi was quiet for a moment. Then he did something unexpected. He sat down on the ground, cross-legged, facing the stone. After a second, Naruto sat beside him. I miss them too, Kakashi said. Sensei especially. He stopped, seemed to search for words. He was the first person who really saw me. Not as a prodigy, not as a weapon. Just as someone who needed guidance. Naruto looked at him. Kakashi, who always seemed so together. So controlled. So completely fine. What was he like? He asked. My dad. As a person, not as the Hokage. Kakashi smiled behind his mask. Naruto could tell by the way his eyes crinkled. He was ridiculous. Always late, always making excuses, always eating weird combinations of food. He had this laugh that filled whatever room he was in. And he cared. Kakashi's voice caught, just slightly. He cared so much. About everything. About everyone. Naruto tried to imagine it. A father who laughed loud and cared too much and was always late. It sounded familiar in a way that made his chest ache. Your mother, Kakashi continued, was the opposite. Quiet, focused, terrifying when she wanted to be. But she had this way of looking at you, like she could see right through to whatever you were hiding. And she just, wait. Let you come to her when you were ready. That sounds nice. It was. Kakashi was quiet for a moment. They balanced each other. Made each other better. And when you were born. He stopped. Swallowed. I've never seen Sensei so happy. He carried you around the village for a week, showing you off to everyone. Said you were the best thing he'd ever done. Naruto's eyes burned. He blinked rapidly, staring at the stone, at his parents' names carved into cold rock. I never knew that. He whispered. There's a lot you never knew. Kakashi's voice was gentle. A lot we never told you. I'm sorry for that. We thought we were protecting you, but maybe. He shook his head. Maybe we were just protecting ourselves. Naruto thought about that. About all the years of silence, of secrets, of people dancing around the truth. About how lonely it had been, not knowing, and how lonely it was now, knowing but not knowing what to do with it. Why are you telling me this now? Kakashi looked at him for a long moment. Because you're ready. Because you've been letting people in lately, and I think. He paused. I think you need to know who you come from. Not the legends, not the stories. The people. Naruto nodded. Didn't trust himself to speak. They sat together as the sun set, two people missing the same people in different ways, and for once Naruto didn't try to fill the silence with noise. The knock came at 2 a.m. Naruto was already awake, had been awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, thinking about nothing and everything. The knock was soft, hesitant, like someone wasn't sure they should be here. He almost didn't answer. But he'd been learning things lately. About showing up. About letting people in. About the difference between being alone and being lonely. He opened the door. Hinata stood in the hallway, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes red and puffy in a way that made his chest hurt immediately. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't know where else to, I shouldn't have. She started to turn away. Hey. He caught her wrist, gentle, careful. Come in. She hesitated, then nodded. He stepped aside and she walked past him into the apartment, clutching the blanket like it was the only thing holding her together. Naruto closed the door. Looked at her standing in his tiny living room, clearly trying to pull herself together, clearly failing. He'd never seen her like this. Hinata was always so steady. Quiet, but steady. A presence you could count on. Tea? He asked. It was the only thing he knew how to offer. She nodded. He went to the kitchenette, put water on to boil, tried to give her space while also staying close enough that she knew he was there. The kettle whistled. He made tea, badly, because he still didn't know how, and brought her the cup. She took it. Held it. Didn't drink. I don't know why I came here, she said finally. I was walking, and then I was here and… She stopped. Looked at him. I'm sorry. You probably wanted to sleep. I wasn't sleeping. Oh. She looked down at the tea. Me neither. Naruto sat on the floor across from her, not too close, not too far. Gave her space to talk or not talk, whichever she needed. He was learning that too. That sometimes people just needed someone to sit with them, not someone to fix them. My father and I had a fight, she said quietly. About the clan. About my responsibilities. About… She swallowed. About whether I'm strong enough to lead. You're strong enough, Naruto said immediately. She looked at him. You don't know what we talked about. I don't have to. I know you. He met her eyes. You're the strongest person I know, Hinata. Not because you can fight, though you can, but because you keep showing up. Even when it's hard. Even when you're scared. You keep showing up. Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink them away, but they kept coming, sliding down her cheeks, dripping onto the blanket. I don't feel strong, she whispered. I feel like I'm pretending. Every day, pretending to be someone I'm not, pretending I can do things I'm not sure I can, pretending I'm not terrified all the time. Naruto thought about all the times he'd felt exactly that. All the years of pretending to be fine, to be okay, to be the person everyone expected him to be. All the nights alone, staring at ceilings, wondering if anyone would notice if he stopped pretending. I know that feeling, he said. I've had it my whole life. Hinata looked at him, really looked, the way she sometimes did, like she could see past all the noise to whatever was underneath. You have? Yeah. He leaned back against the wall. Everyone expects things from me. The Hokage's son, the Nine-Tails container, the guy who never gives up. And most days I don't know if I'm any of those things. I just keep moving. Keep pretending. Hope no one notices I'm making it up as I go. But you're not making it up. Her voice was soft. You really are those things. You just can't see it. Neither can you. He met her eyes. We're kind of a mess, aren't we? A small laugh escaped her, wet, surprised, real. Yeah. I guess we are. They sat in silence for a while after that. The tea cooled. The night deepened. And something shifted between them, not romance, not exactly, but something else. Something quieter. A recognition. My mother used to say that strength wasn't about never falling. Hinata said eventually. It was about getting back up. Every time. No matter how many times you fell. She paused. I used to think that was just words. Something parents say to make their children feel better. But now… She looked at him. Now I think she meant something else. I think she meant that falling is part of it. That you can't be strong without also being weak sometimes. Naruto thought about that. About all the times he'd fallen, literally and otherwise. About all the times he'd gotten back up, not because he was brave, but because the alternative was staying down. And staying down had never been an option, not really, not for someone like him. I don't know how to be weak, he admitted. I never learned. Me neither. Hinata set down her tea. But maybe that's what tonight is. For both of us. She reached out, slow, tentative, and took his hand. Her fingers were cold, but they warmed against his palm. They sat there, holding hands in his tiny apartment, two people who'd spent their whole lives pretending to be strong, finally letting someone see the weakness underneath. It was terrifying. It was also, somehow, exactly right. Morning came gently. Naruto woke on the floor, his back against the wall, a blanket draped over him that he didn't remember getting. Hinata was still there, asleep, curled on the couch, her face soft and young in the pale light. He watched her for a moment. The rise and fall of her breathing. The way her hand was still half extended, like she'd reached for something in her sleep. The peace on her face that he'd never seen when she was awake. Then he got up, made tea, better this time, he was learning, and waited for her to wake. She stirred around 8, blinking in confusion before memory returned. When she saw him sitting there with tea, her cheeks went pink. I fell asleep, she said. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's fine. He handed her the cup. That's what couches are for. She took it, wrapped her hands around the warmth, looked at him over the rim. Thank you? For? She gestured vaguely. Everything. Letting me stay. Not asking a million questions. Just being here. That's what friends are for. The word felt strange in his mouth, friends, like it was that simple. But maybe it was. Maybe that was exactly what they were. Hinata smiled, small, shy, real. Friends, she repeated, like she was testing the word. I like that. They drank their tea in comfortable silence. The sun rose higher, light filling the apartment, chasing away the shadows of the night before. And when Hinata finally left, pressing his hand once before she went, Naruto realized something. He'd been there for her. Actually there. Not fixing, not solving, just present. And it hadn't destroyed him. Hadn't even been that hard, once he stopped trying to figure out what to do and just let himself be. Maybe that was the thing. Maybe being there for someone wasn't about doing anything at all. The afternoon brought an unexpected visitor. Naruto was at the training ground, alone for once, working through forms the way Hinata had shown him, when Choji appeared at the edge of the trees, holding a bag of chips. You're getting better at that, Choji said, settling onto a bench. The forms. More centered. Naruto stopped mid-strike. You can tell? I can tell. Choji crunched a chip. Shikamaru's been talking about you. Says you're different lately. Softer, but in a good way. Naruto wasn't sure how to feel about Shikamaru talking about him. Different how? I don't know. More present? Less like you're running from something. Choji shrugged. He's better at words than me. I just notice you're eating more ramen alone. That's usually a bad sign. It's not. Naruto stopped. Thought about it. Okay, maybe it is. But I'm working on it. Good. Choji crunched another chip. You want to get dinner? Not ramen. Something else. My treat. Naruto blinked. Why? Why not? Choji looked at him like the question was strange. We're friends, right? Friends eat together. That's how it works. Naruto opened his mouth to argue, to say he had training, or he was tired, or any of the other excuses he always used, but something stopped him. Choji was just sitting there, eating chips, not demanding anything. Just offering. Just being there. Yeah, Naruto said. Okay. Dinner sounds good. Choji smiled, wide and genuine, and stood. Great. There's this new place near the East Gate. Barbecue. You'll love it. They walked together through the village, not talking much, just existing in the same space. And Naruto realized, somewhere between the training ground and the East Gate, that this was what he'd been missing. Not the big moments, not the dramatic declarations. Just this. Walking with a friend. Going to dinner. Being normal. The barbecue place was small and crowded, but Choji knew the owner, and they got a table in the corner. They ordered way too much food, Choji's influence, and ate in comfortable chaos, reaching for the same pieces of meat, arguing about who got the last skewer. Naruto. Choji's voice shifted suddenly, losing its playful edge. Can I ask you something? Naruto looked up, chopsticks halfway to his mouth. Sure.